Hello.
Hi down
Hi. Hey guys, it is November 1st. Today, Jeremiah and the kids are building a hunting platform slash treehouse out in the woods. So we're gonna take you out to show you that later, but first I'm gonna show you how I make bread for our big family. We make this recipe all the time and it's pretty much foolproof. I think anyone can make it. It's super easy and delicious. We've got a short amount of time today to make this bread, so let's get started. What do you got there?
Nano. Hey, Mom.
So this recipe will make 1 loaf, and I usually double it to make 2. Sometimes I can stretch it to 3. So it's pretty straightforward. There's no mixing wet ingredients and then dry ingredients. You just stuff everything into the mixing bowl. Alright, so I'm going to put the water in first. You want it lukewarm, which is a little bit warmer than room temperature. If you put your finger in it, it's not going to burn your finger, but you can definitely tell it's warm. If it's too hot, it will kill your yeast and your bread won't rise. And the more that you bake, you'll come to understand the subtle differences between temperatures, what's too hot and what is just right. Alright, so we got honey. This is raw honey from my parents' neighbors. It's amazing. We're going to do 2 and 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. This is what you'll find in those packets of yeast that you can buy. I buy mine in bulk just because I use so much of it. So the recipe states to put everything in order as you go along. I always like to make sure though that the yeast will rise sufficiently, because if your yeast isn't going to rise, then your bread's not going to rise, and I always just kind of want to make sure. So I'll let this sit for a few minutes and make sure that it gets a good bloom on it, and then we'll continue on with the recipe. Alright, so we got our salt. We're going to pour that in. And our butter. Now, a lot of times I do use my electric mixer for this, but occasionally I like to hand mix it. It doesn't take very long, and it's pretty easy. It says to add the milk after the flour, but I just put it in before the flour because otherwise sometimes I'll just forget. And that is really, I think, the key to this recipe is the dry milk. I use this brand from Walmart, and I think that really holds it together well. I've tried a lot of different recipes. Wow. I've tried a lot of different recipes for making sandwich bread, and they always just seem to fall apart when I slice them. This one doesn't, and I think it's really because of the dried milk. Of course, if you don't like getting your hands messy, an electric mixer would be the way to go. But here in a second, I'm going to start kneading it, so it really doesn't matter. My fingers are, all dirty anyway. Plus, I just like doing it by hand. Sometimes I think I like doing things the hard way on purpose. I don't know why. It's just kind of a process that I enjoy, making bread by hand. Some of you might have a bread maker, and I have tried those. I can never get them to work properly, and I don't know if it's the brands that I've tried or just operator error, because they've never worked for me. Alright, so I've only got 3.5 cups of the 4 cups of flour in here right now, because you're going to add flour when you're kneading it, and you don't want to add too much or else it'll be too dry and you won't be able to work with it. Because you can always add flour, but you can't take it out of the recipe. And I don't know about you, but I love kneading bread. I don't know, I mean, it's just a really calming kind of thing. I can think about things and sort of plan out my day, or just enjoy listening to music or a podcast or something while I'm doing this. It's just a nice, I don't know, I just like it a lot. I do use my mixer quite a bit, but for kneading dough, I really like to do it by hand. And I'm not gonna even, gonna measure hair's getting in the way. I'm not even going to measure out that last bit of flour. I'm just going to add it in, and when it's not sticky anymore and when you push in and it bounces back, you'll know it's ready. It's not ready yet. It's very soft and still a little bit sticky, but the more you work in that flour, the drier it'll get, and you'll be able to work it without your hands getting all gross. You want to knead for about 5-6 minutes. It's not that long, really. You just want to make sure that everything gets worked in there and all that yeast gets worked around. Alright, real quick, I want to show you something. See how it kind of relaxes and spreads out? That means it's not quite done yet. You want to keep kneading it until it forms a ball and stays in position. So we're going to keep going just a little bit longer. So I think this dough is ready for the first rise. I got a bowl that's buttered, and I'm going to put it in there, turn it around, coat it a little bit. I've warmed up my oven just by pushing the keep warm button. Let it go for a couple minutes and then turned it off. So I'm going to stick this in and we'll go check and see how Jeremiah and the kids are doing building their treehouse / deer stand. Alright, so at this point you might be wondering why even bother making your own bread? Well, besides the fact that it's cheaper than what you can buy at the store, it's better for you because you know what the ingredients are. It's super convenient because you can always make it at home instead of going to the store if you run out of bread. And also, I just really like having the skills to make things on my own. If you know how to make bread, you'll always be able to feed your family. So I really like learning new skills, and I like perfecting those skills. Hey! And just knowing how to do things like that. And we have arrived. Hey, I see.
What do you think of that?
It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
You gonna stand on the rails there and shoot deer?
Yeah,
Got some holes in it.
All right, now I need the battery. Tomorrow is youth opening day of rifle season, so the kids had asked their grandfather, Jessie's dad, for some scrap lumber to build a tree house. So we sat down and talked about it this morning, and we kind of came up with the idea of let's build a tree house / deer stand. So we got together today, and the kids and I, mainly the kids, and we put together a tree stand for them to build. So we just had a good time doing it and got to spend time with them and get in preparation for lots of fun that they're going to have on it, and then deer season tomorrow. So super excited, glad to get it. We're not completely done with it, but we got it to the point where we're going to clear out, let everything air out tonight, and then we're going to hunt out of it tomorrow morning.
Hello. Hi down there. That's like a baby. My fuzzy was. The best part is we won't have to walk far to get down here. I'm taking my fuzzy wuzzy. Mom, home. Mom, look at it.
so the dough's been rising for about an hour. We're going to roll it out in kind of a loaf shape or a log shape, and just lay it in the buttered pan. And then I'm just gonna let it rise for about a half an hour to 45 minutes again, and then we will put it in the oven. Look who woke up from her nap. Hi there, do you see yourself? Oh, you see the microphone. You can't have that. Okay, so our dough is risen, and I set the timer for 350. We're gonna go ahead and put it in the oven for about 30 minutes or so, and it'll be ready. Look, say hi. Say hi. Oh, microphone's so cool, huh? So here we go. Hey, no.
Bread is done.
You want to check on it?
Yep.
Alright, let's check.
Whip off the bean.
Take it out. Let's see.
I was right.
You were right. Look at that. Doesn't that look
Mama,
yummy?
this bread ever.
You like that bread?
Yep. Me.
So if you find that your bread is getting too dark on top but it's not quite done in the middle, you can just put a piece of foil over the top, and that'll help it to continue cooking, but it won't let the top burn. So I usually end up doing that about halfway through.
Halfway.
Alright, look at that. Look at that rise. Wow.
Okay, now let's take it out of the pan.
I am.
Whip it out.
Hot.
Yeah.
Nice. Is that hot?
Yeah.
Now the only thing left is to taste test it. It's a really good idea to have a bread knife, because otherwise I always have to turn it halfway through if I'm using a regular knife. Is that good? Just never works.
It's really good.
Alright, so that's how we make our bread that we use every single day. I don't buy bread from the store. I don't buy sandwich bread from the store anymore. I'm kind of a work in progress on the other types of bread, on like French bread and things like that, but sandwich bread, I think I've got it nailed down with this recipe. I will leave the link to this recipe in the description, and if you guys have any questions or comments about it, leave them for me and I'll try to answer the best that I can. And like I said, I usually double this to make 2 to 3 loaves at a time for our big family, but I just did the recipe as written for you guys to show you how to make it in the easiest way possible. Thanks for coming along with us today, and we will see you guys next time.